everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the Road to the Procure Tech Cup. We're on Wednesday today because we made some accommodations for our U.S. friends who are heading off to Thanksgiving momentarily. So hopefully you're not too destabilized by coming on the live on a Wednesday at noon Eastern time. And if you're watching the replay, well, happy Thanksgiving to you if you're celebrating. And if not, well, thanks for tuning into the show. Really exciting episode today, how to build a business case for spend analytics tools. We've got SpendHQ on the show to help us peel back the onion on that problem and help you get that spend cube in place, which I always say is one of the first things that you should have as a digital capability if you're a procurement organization, because it's the lens by which you view the world. It's your baseline by which you can measure the performance of your function. And so really excited to peel back the curtain on how to do this. Before we get into the actual topic, right, just want to give you an update here, a bit of housekeeping. So we are the week of November 28th. SpendHQ's on the show. We had Pactum last week for building business cases around specialized tools that may not fit neatly into a software category. And then we've got two more shows on deployment strategies. So we're shifting gears a little bit next week on how to deploy these different types of Procure Tech solutions. We'll have a 3-week holiday break. And then in January, we have a whole other set of episodes until April. And I've confirmed the dates for the April conference. So you can already start marking it on your calendar. So it's going to be April 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, where we'll have the first edition of the Pure Procurement virtual conference. So I'll share the details on how you can get tickets as we move on through the season here. So that being said, agenda for the show today. What is a spend analytics tool? So we'll define that before getting into the weeds on how to build the business case for it. And then solution category champ intro. So we have Stefan from SpendHQ here who's going to introduce who SpendHQ is, what they do, how do you build the business case for these types of tools. And then we'll wrap up the show and get you on your way to the turkey if you're in the US and to the rest of your day if you're somewhere else. So that being said, just before we dive in here to the Procure Tech market map, let me bring in the guest. So Stefan, how's it going?
Hey, hi everybody. Hi Joel. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks so much for being here. I know it's late in Europe, and I think you got delegated the show, right? Since you're not celebrating Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I'm in France end of the day today, but we'll make it happen and try to answer this burning question: how to build a business case for our spend analytics tool. Happy to be here.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come discuss that with us. So if we look at the market map here that we put on the screen every week, spend analysis is really the first thing, right? And it's one of the reasons I say it's one of the first tools you should have in your digital arsenal, is that it's what helps you to create category management strategies. It's what helps you to target the right sourcing events to execute on, right? It's what helps you determine which contracts are going to be the most impactful. And so it's really, the first thing. It's like getting your seeds before harvesting or starting to plant stuff in your strategic procurement suite so that you can harvest with Procure to Pay later on. And so I have it in yellow here, but I also wanted to put category management and sourcing in blue because I've seen the providers kind of move into that space. And I know, Stefan, I think that's the case for SpendHQ, and I'd love to get your perspective on how you guys are thinking about spend analytics and I think even procurement analytics as a wider topic
Sure.
than that.
Yeah, definitely, and that's an exciting space. It's really the foundation of any discussions that you might have with a supplier, and we truly believe though that spend analytics is the foundation. And then that it's the what is happening next that is really matters to your business, to your stakeholders. What can you do of all of the things that and insight that you can find in spend analytics to really execute on? That's really where the magic happens and where the procurement team is able to shine externally.
Yeah, and it's a natural extension, right? Because to your point, the spend is about getting to the business outcomes through category management, through sourcing, et cetera. And so being able to offer that up, especially with added capabilities that are being developed around AI opportunity assessment or analysis or identification within the spend, is something that I think is just a natural extension. So I'm not surprised to see SpendHQ and others head in that direction. But that being said, I'd love for you to tell us more about SpendHQ, who you guys are, and why you're qualified to be in the conversation, which I know you are.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Joel. So before we even dive into what SpendHQ is, I wanted really to take a brief look at what makes procurement so challenging today. Of course, will be not new for you all, but limited resources. We are operating with fewer resources while being asked to deliver more. And we have organization changes, people leave, they are not replaced. Sometimes we even have to reduce headcounts, and all of that with lack of visibility. We are expected to deliver superhero outcomes, results without the superpowers. Without the being able to use the tools and just a couple of clicks get your question answered. Trust issues. So that's really something that I still see, on the market, talking with CPOs, procurement leaders. Although we made progress on that thanks to COVID, lots of things that happen and led procurement to take a seat at the table, like we like to say. But it's still something that we still have to fight for, justify the value that the procurement team is generating, and all of that, while changing, a changing environment, changing landscape, the market, the technology, the regulation, the government, the tariff, anything that is happening around us keeps moving in all directions. So it really makes it a challenging place to be in, but also still something that is a space that is fun and attractive to be in, with a lot of new set of skills that are required to perform in procurement. So you have to think more strategically, focusing on the let's say 20% that will give you the 80% of outcome. And we need to understand now the data that is surrounding us, and trying to understand what can we prioritize, where those insights are, and learn new technology as well. You're well positioned, Joel, to confirm that, but there are lots of technology available on the market, so it's really exciting. And also needing to find ways to communicate and sell your impact. To me, the best procurement people are the ones that are able to really deal with the data, and also being able to communicate externally, communicate markets, doing a bit of program marketing.
Yeah,
But
and I love the way that you put it around, we're asked to be superheroes without the superpowers, right? I've never heard it put that way, and I think that's a great illustration. And it's also why, like, all the fear about AI taking over jobs is, I think, unfounded in some respects, right? In the sense where if you have a very transactional job, like, you should be upskilling, but for those upskilled jobs, or where we're asking you to do these superhero things, right? Like, AI is that superpower, technology is that superpower. It doesn't have to be AI, right? But giving you access to data at your fingertips, so that you're able to take decisions quickly, build that trust with your stakeholders, because ad hoc questions are coming all the time, is how you're going to get there, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the fear of AI kind of disappeared now. And we all think and believe, I think, that procurement is here to stay. But really, I think it's an exciting time, because people are starting to realize the impact and the transformation that is led by the AI, the agentic AI space, and all the technology that can surround you and really enable you to have a better impact and being strategic. That's really the key takeaway here. And that's really where SpendHQ becomes super relevant. As you said, we help organizations of any size. Of course, the messier the data, the better. But all of organization of any size, to bring clarity within their messy procurement data, even when resources are limited, and that's really an important aspect of it. So what you're seeing here on the left-hand side is the Spend Intelligence module of SpendHQ. And it's really where SpendHQ focuses on delivering the so what, highlighting non-compliance, risks, savings leakage, working capital optimization, recommending the right actions, the right course of actions to take to really make an impact within your scope, within the area that you're managing and the spend that you're addressing. And then on the right hand side of the screen that you're seeing here in green is the performance management module, like we call it at SpendHQ. We created that space that were not existing before, and it's where you can really go further, build a robust procurement plan. All of you, I'm sure, if you're not using a digital solution for that, you all have a spreadsheet where you're tracking your strategic project and the statuses in there, and you maybe have multiple versions of that, and that's really what procurement performance management is. So it's really here to help you move things forward and speak the same language than finance does, and really actually driving results and that you can communicate as well.
And I feel like if we drive back to the slide on with the ProcureTech market map, like the orange thing is what is more spend analysis, whereas the blue the green performance management is where we start drifting into that category management space and sourcing space, right?
Exactly. So just at a glance here, talking more about the platform in itself, SpendHQ, it's a modular, flexible, and light touch SaaS platform, really designed by procurement leaders for procurement leaders as well. The founders of SpendHQ are procurement practitioners. I myself worked at Airbus, Renault, Nissan in the past as a category manager. And it all starts with the data. We connect seamlessly with your procurement and finance system. Then our AI-driven data process cleans, categorize, and normalize the data. That will then surface insights that truly matter to your business and your organization. We really aim at designing dashboards, agentic AI that will help you to find those opportunities that are relevant to you, not just things that are thrown at you that will not be relevant, but ensuring that it is something that you can take and action on later. And from there, strategic initiative, the green that you see here, number 5, project pipeline. Strategic initiative can be tracked in a streamlined procurement plan where budget owners, finance, legal, and other stakeholders can collaborate. There are lots of collaborative functionalities like commenting, approval workflows that are here to mirror your procurement process and accelerate the decision making. If I summarize, really, SpendHQ is the tool that any winning procurement organization needs to use really to make their point. It's to me like a must-have. I honestly really believe that, and the good thing is that it's light touch.
And I believe it too, but let me play devil's advocate just so folks on the call can get it too, right? Which is, if I'm sitting in a company and I'm going, I have a a generic BI platform, like we can pull data from our ERP systems and get a consolidated picture of spend, and then I could just stand up, a SharePoint list or something like that, right? To manage the opportunities. Like what would you say to folks who are thinking in that direction, right? We're saying I probably don't need a fit for purpose tool, right? What are the gotchas?
There are lots of answers for that, and really, I think it really comes down to your own business and the reality of operational reality of the procurement team. And we will come back to that later. But do you trust that data? You need to ask yourself, do you trust this data? How actionable is it? Is it relevant? Is it complete as well? Because sometimes you have some data that goes to this Power BI. And what happens if you're acquiring a new business tomorrow? How do you get this data into this maybe rigid Power BI? And I have lots of examples where makes Power BI less relevant.
Yeah, because you guys have pre-built connectors for all the leading ERP systems and the data structures and putting them together, which is it's a headache if you're trying to do it from scratch, right? And I think you also have like services where there's a services component where, for number 3, data categorization and spend insights, like having the commodity code structures and developing it with the customer so that it's relevant to their business and their spend profile. Like there's a lot of soft skills that go into making this process or enabling this process, right?
Yeah, I think that the experience that we accumulated over the past, and maybe we can go to the next slide, Joel, here, is really what takes SpendHQ apart from other players or suites, and we will not give name here, but really comes down to our ability to understand the procurement process and also master the establishment or the rollout of a SpendHQ, which is not as simple as it looks.
Yeah, and doing it in a matter of weeks instead of endless months.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool.
You have to experiment, and you have to know what is feasible internally before you go and look externally. That's, in my opinion, the first thing that you need to do.
That's very wise, right? Because that's how you convince other stakeholders to come along with you on the journey as well, right? But so I appreciate that point for sure.
Yeah.
And for folks who may be interested in looking at a SpendHQ or seeing a SpendHQ demo, we have the QR code here if you want to click through to, or scan through, I should say, to a demo page. And SpendHQ was on the show last year as well, so there's a demo from last year. It's a year old, right? So I'm sure you guys have rolled out a bunch of new capabilities and features since then. So I just wanted to call that out because I know last year the show was more demo based. Here we're trying to make you successful with, for example, how to build a business case, which is the follow-on topic, right? So the main discussion that we wanted to get to, and Stefan, I'd love your perspective, right? How do you think about building business cases for Spend Analytics tool?
Yeah, that's a super interesting topic, and actually, I really enjoy preparing this presentation. I think that many people think that a business case is kind of a one-size-fits-all document, a PDF that you will send to your decision makers, and boom, it will unlock budget, approvals, and the value. But it never happens. So real business case to me is a series of action that you need to get right to secure funding, yes, of course, and solve a real problem. The real problem is super important. You're not here to, as a procurement excellence manager, to introduce a new tool that looks super cool. It's really here to solve a problem, and that's what you need to accomplish while you're going into this business case build. So I think the step one to me is the most important one is framing the problem. You need to be as specific as possible and really nail that part. That's really the part where if you don't know the problem, and if you don't know the problem, you don't have a problem, why do you want to find a solution? And for instance, you should be able to map how a question like the one that you're seeing here on the screen, how much of our IBM software spend in France can be addressed over the next 3 years, for instance. And if those steps are maybe creating some issues like time, you need to understand what is the impact of each of those type of questions is creating within the organization. And then you need to start quantify this type of question. So first, understanding the problem and what is the business impact, and then quantifying.
And I feel this so hard, and I think we were discussing it off the call, when we were preparing, around the fact that like executives don't necessarily realize what their what a little question can do in terms of like generating all this work in the background for people to answer it, right? And so I think I love this perspective where it's how can we demonstrate that whenever you ask a question like that, an ad hoc request, right? Because we don't have the tool set in the background, we're extracting files from the ERP, yes, or from 3 ERPs, different business units, like having meetings, and there's all this work to like tame the data and put it in a specific format so that we can look at it in a Excel pivot table for some as an example, right? So I love that you started with an ad hoc question, because it's usually the driver from a spend analysis perspective, right?
Yeah, and I think you can't imagine how many procurement organizations, like multi-billion organizations are relying on spreadsheets to like run their spend cube, and that's really dramatic because any like spend leakage, spend not going or going off contract or going into a suppliers that is going bankrupt or that has problem with e-reputations or cyber risks, etc. All of that is just invisible, and not being able to find out this information in just a couple of clicks or seconds is dramatic in my opinion, and can cost you a lot of money, or there is also an opportunity cost to that. What you're not doing while you're crunching numbers and trying to verify if the information that you received is true or not.
Yeah. And I think on screen we have an example of what that could look like, right?
Yeah, definitely. So defining the problem and then quantifying, the what this problem means within the organization. And then you need to think something that is, super, that I see a lot with procurement excellence managers and CPOs is that, yes, they understand the problem, but then, you're seeing a vendor providing some capabilities, and then you talk to another, you go to a trade show, and then you're like filled with buzzword, and you are creating some needs that you don't really need actually, and that will not have an impact to your business. So you really want to nail that part and ensuring that um, you know all of the things that you're trying to solve will have an impact within your organization. Because at the end of the day, when you will present to the CFO, the head of IT, they will not care about Gen AI dashboard or these kind of things. They really want to hear what this thing is improving in our business. Does it matter to us? Does it help the business move forward? Do we improve profitability, growth? Do we enable innovation, or are we optimizing our working capital? Things that are that they can really understand and matters to the current state of the organization. And maybe you are focusing on savings money to today. Tomorrow maybe it will be on sustainability. Now it's maybe on around optimizing operational efficiencies. All of that are goals that you work in an organization, and you need to tie that to those different goals.
And I think we mentioned this last year, right? Or last week. But the one of the hacks that so many people don't do is like go read your company's financial statements, right? Because the higher up you go in the hierarchy, like the more in tune they are with like the three main strategic objectives that are listed in that report, right? So I mention it again because I think it's such an easy but powerful action that you can take at the beginning of this process.
Yeah, definitely. Socialize the need early on. So that's key to me again. Communication. So don't build the business case alone at your desk, and do not wait until the RFP presentation of the preferred vendor to share your findings and bring information at the table. Spend Analytics, it's really a central capability that will impact multiple levels within the organization. So you need to share the problem that you've identified early on, making sure that others feel it too as well, making it a problem worth solving, and validate that it matters beyond just the procurement team and the scope that you're seeing. So as you're taking part of those conversations, you need to start, shaping a better future. How much more, as written in the slide, how much more can we do with the Spend Analytics tool? And this needs to be translated into all of the different stakeholders that you work with: finance, IT, program leadership, sustainability. How faster can you build the sustainability reports once we have the Spend Analytics tool in place? How faster can we track our alignment with the budget once we have the Spend Analytics in place? These kind of things that resonate with other people that will have a decision to, or a kind of a weight in the final decision.
Yeah, and one of the other tricks which I've seen is like, you mentioned finance. Like finance is probably tracking other types of savings in the business as well, whether it's like operational excellence or whatever it is, right? And they have to do that. And so if you can use a tool that's, yes, geared more towards procurement like SpendHQ, but that you can certainly track savings that aren't necessarily cost savings, right? They can be different types of savings. Then it can also be finance's tool, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
it becomes so powerful in terms of adding weight to the business case.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Then it's so alongside with what we said earlier, early socialization of the problem and the potential next future. You need to build a team as well and identify champions quickly internally. So as a procurement excellence manager, CPO, you need to, of course, be engaged in that process of building the business case, etc. But at the end of the day, you are a facilitator. You are here to, create that platform, enabling that change. But throughout the like this overall journey, there will be times when you will be confronted with objections, with things, and you will need support from all of the people that you talked to early on, to from finance, IT, etc. That will help you make the point. And it's not only about you kind of creating a change, but it's really a decision that is shared over the different people.
Yeah, and I see time flying by here, so I know we got a couple more slides. I just thought I'd do
Yeah.
a time check, but yeah, I agree with you. What's the name of the fox, by the way? I know he has a forgot it. What's the SpendHQ mascot's name?
Multiple names, but the name is Spendy. We call it
Spendy
Spendy
the
internally.
fox.
Yeah, Spendy the fox. You like it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love that he was at the begin at the center of the Venn diagram there. That was pretty good.
It's everywhere. Um, yes, that's one of the success of our marketing team, let's say. So then write down a plan. I think that's also super important and valid point here. The point that I would like to make on that is, there are lots of organizations that will try to sometimes rush this process, and I think it can backfire and create fatigue as well. So, when you're starting to understand that there is a need and you're trying to build a business case for Spend Analytics, you need to have a plan in mind. And of course, there will be all the steps that I elaborated earlier that you need to go through. But still, keep that in mind that you need to be implemented by your time, and you need to make things happen, because vision alone will not create a change, but you will have to kind of move into action at some point to ensure that the change can be created now.
And I almost feel like when I see this slide, it just makes me think that like the easy part is building the business case, like the numbers, the math, right? The hard part is making sure that you've kept everybody you need to keep in the loop, right?
That's, to me, that's an ongoing process. It's not about just getting everyone in the room, hey, we have a problem. It's uh, constant communication and ensuring that you're keeping everyone on the same page, and keeping people engaged as well. And that's why if you have a plan, then it will create your pace and your rhythm to make this validated at some point. And as you are going through that, you will face blockers, people internally that will tell you, hey, we can do that internally into Power BI. Our data is not good enough. Oh, we are transitioning to S4HANA. We don't have budget for that. So whatever the blocking points that you might see at some point, you need to know and master the answers. There are options, and we can also help you as a software vendor specialized in that space to solve those different elements, telling you how a project like this might require in terms of resources, if your data is in a good shape for it to be sufficient for a Spend Analytics exercise. These kind of things, you need to know those blockers, and you need to master the answers.
I think you were saying on that first one, like the worse your data, the better in terms of like the value you'll get from one of these tools, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then I think one of my last advice here is, once the need is clear and everyone understands the impact, move into evaluation quickly, experiment, test solutions. There are lots of resources available out there. So, there is, of course, the ProcureTech Cup, Joel, analyst, like, provides resources for people to, do your research online. That's incredible now what you can find, and use your network as well. There are lots of organizations that are similar to yours that will have gone through those different steps and processes, and will also have faced the same objections and blockers and solve the same problems. So do not hesitate to, get on a phone call or in a trade show, ask for some benchmark and understand how others are doing it.
Yeah, and I think, in procurement, we're facing the same types of problems. They might be different by industry or by importance based on our business and our objectives and the strategy we're using. But it's a great point, right? Like communities are super valuable, and I would encourage folks
Yes.
to
Yes.
join them, right? To join them, find the ones that are right for you, of course. But I assure you, there are some out there that are a fit for you and will help you accelerate whatever it is you're trying to do.
Yeah, and you probably know that, Joel, because you're, on LinkedIn, etc. But the value of LinkedIn and the network is super powerful. You don't even need to go into a trade show and pay for the tickets, etc. Except, of course, it's way better to meet people face to face. But just, connect with people, and they will be super happy to just have a chat, explain how they did that.
Yeah, I love that, right? And I think you wanted to just wrap up with business impact here that you've seen with other clients, but I
Yes.
couldn't agree more with that advice around LinkedIn.
Yeah. Just wanted to make a point on that. So I'm not a big proponent and big fan of hard savings ROI, but ROI is part of the business case. And not all organizations are the same. So, take that numbers, not for granted, but things that you would need to adapt to your specific situation. But two things that I will call out and really connected to what we said earlier and to the problem is, what we see with organization is that SpendHQ helps drive 6 to 12 savings, incremental savings on new spend. So just by having more visibility, you will generate more savings, you will address more spend, you will see more spend leakage and being able to react quickly, and also up to 50% efficiency gain. So here, like quotes from our customers, since we are using SpendHQ, we are able to address twice as much as project as before. So really, that's a concrete materialization of the benefits of using a platform like ours, and just speaks to the impact that it will have also within your organization.
Yeah, and it's so funny how I think it gives people a good framework from which to start from, right? Like if those are your value levers, then you might be able to adjust the numbers, but it gives you a benchmark, and then you can also validate with other folks in your industry or businesses your side.
Yeah.
So Stefan, thanks so much for coming on the show. I know the schedule is a bit compressed from the usual show, right? And for folks who are watching at home, thanks for tuning in off schedule as well. If you want to keep watching the show, it's on Fridays at noon Eastern time regularly. And you can scan the QR code on the left to subscribe to the Pure Procurement newsletter, where the invite for the show comes out every week. And we share a bunch of other topics and knowledge and best practices and trends on procurement technology weekly. And then, Stefan, I know you prepared something for folks who wanted to get to know you guys a bit more as well, right?
Yeah, that's an article that I wrote with the help of internal experts and AI engineers. Is why spend classification is hard and how to fix it, which I'm sure and I hope it will help you with your internal battles and helping make for a good business case for Spend Analytics.
Beautiful. And I know you guys have an ROI calculator, I think, on your website as well. So if people want to get a sense for,
Yeah.
what a rough business case can look like, at least get a sense for how to start. That's a great resource as well. So everybody, thanks so much for watching again this week. Stefan, thanks for coming on the show. Happy Thanksgiving if you're celebrating, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much. Bye.